Vanilla.
Let's talk about vanilla. So, what do you know about vanilla?
It's yummy.
That's right, it is. But it's also open source discussion forum software. We power discussions on over 400,000 sites around the world. And the idea behind it was that we looked at other forum packages and we thought they're all kind of bloated with features and design and stuff that doesn't make a lot of sense, especially in the modern web. They're the original social media, but they haven't changed since the origin of social media.
Exactly. That's what boggles me about forums.
Right, and so we took a different approach. In the beginning, it was all about, let's just simplify it. Let's make the vanilla version of a forum. That's where the name came from.
I was going to ask.
There you go. And then, then we add on that with plugins and themes and that sort of stuff.
And it's all open source.
It's all open source, that's right. And then, so that was originally what it was about. And then as we've gone on over the years, first came out in 2005, we started working a little more on integration. We realized that the other big problem with forums is that they are a platform. If you get an old forum, I'm not going to name names, an old traditional forum, a lot of the times they want it to be your site. They're not going to be a part of your site.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to focus a lot on integration, and that's sort of what we're doing here at Blog World, is we integrate with blogs very well.
WordPress.
WordPress, we have a great WordPress plugin that lets you embed the forum directly into a WordPress page. It lets you take information out of the forum as widgets and place them in other parts of your blog, so you can do things like see what's going on, recently active users, who's online, recent discussions, and bring people from your blog into your community, right? And now we're actually working on some other stuff. We're taking it to the next level and thinking about how we can increase the quality of content on forums and how we can integrate that with the other things that are happening on the web and social media. So people can create social capital on their forums and then carry it with them in the other places they go on the web.
That's interesting because, I look at forums sort of as that early stage of social media, as you're saying, but they haven't really changed. And then now we're getting sites like Quora and FormSpring that are Q&A sites and sort of play into the forum pool a little bit.
Yeah, and Stack Overflow. There's a lot of people who are realizing that there's great value in forums. I mean, search for anything on the web, and 9 times out of 10, the answer is on a forum.
Yeah.
There's actually there's a company called CrowdGather that they go and purchase whole communities and then they monetize them. So the goal is they get a lot of communities around a certain type of vertical or type of information, and then they place ads on those. And because they have high quality content around this one vertical, they can get better CPMs than an individual forum would be able to get. But the founder has this thing where he says, don't be afraid to use the F word, because people are typically afraid of forums and the content and advertising on them because of the content that could potentially be on them. And he's like, don't be afraid. It's not that way anymore. Yeah. And also, forums are changing. They're evolving. I mean, look at Quora. It's almost like a wiki/forum.
Exactly.
There's all kinds of neat stuff happening. And so, we're just fascinated by this, and we're constantly trying to think about, how we can take the edge that we've always had and keep improving upon it. And so there's some stuff we're doing right now to do with like global user profiles across forums and being able to...
That's a smart idea. Yeah. I really like that, having one profile that you can use across different forums.
And not just one, it's like one global profile that you manage. Some forums, if it's this forum about sexually transmitted diseases, you might not want people to know that you posted there. But if it's some other kind of...
Why not?
So you get public and private profiles, you can set up your own ones, and then you can decide who gets to see what. And when somebody comes to your global profile, they can see where you posted across the web, anywhere. And also doing things like, being able to pull in people from other social networks that you're on to discussions you're having in somewhere.
Yeah.
Just making it so that when you go and post on a forum, it's not lost in the ether.
Right. It does kind of feel that way a little bit with regular forums.
It does, absolutely. And so these are the problems that we're working through and trying to fix with vanilla.
Okay. Now, how does vanilla deal with people that are inappropriately using forums?
Fantastic question. And again, this comes back to what I was talking about with a global profile. I think once you start to know who people are across forums, you get a better picture of the types of things they post, and you can also see how other users react to them when they do it. Yeah. Even if it's as simple as liking or not liking something, right? And based on that, we can actually create a score for people. And that score, can be used to gauge...
Like your karma.
Yeah, and it's also, I talked about creating social capital.
Yeah.
It's a piece of social capital that you can take with you. And so as a forum owner, you can know when somebody with a high quality rating comes on your forum, you can be notified, hey, just so you know, a awesome forum user, great contributor has just joined your forum. And that's something that people can be really proud of and also promote elsewhere.
That's actually a really good point too. Like there's all of this potential value that you could get out of a forum where people just aren't culling that data or getting it in real time, getting push notifications, whatever. to really maximize that.
Absolutely. And then the corollary to that being people who are spammers or people who post really negative comments, trolling. Trolling is one of the biggest problems on forums. They carry that with them too.
Yeah.
And so you as a forum owner can say, I don't want people who are below this rating, and you can guarantee better quality content on your community and a happier community.
Right. What are some blogs we might know that have already integrated vanilla forums?
So there's a couple right now that we're working with that we haven't launched yet. I don't want to mention.
TechZulu?
Yes, absolutely you should. So here's one, Bogue World, Paul Bogue, the UK podcaster on technology and all things cool on the web. He was actually one of the first people to use our WordPress widgets, and he integrates them with his seasons of his show, and so you can see the latest discussions about particular seasons and episodes and all that kind of stuff.
I like that a lot because, obviously we're video-based mainly, and to be able to integrate that sort of discussion to the written stuff in a forum with a site.
Yeah, absolutely, and I mean it's really important to understand that the blog and the community don't need to be separate, and it's not just about letting people on the blog know about what's happening in the community. Like one of the things we're releasing right now for one of the blog companies that we're working with is similar to Discuss, or I don't know how to pronounce it. Discuss. Everybody pronounces it differently, but Discuss, they have, for those who don't know, a commenting tool for blogs. We have a similar thing done on the vanilla side, so it's vanilla comments instead of Discuss comments, and those comments and the content that they're related to also appear in the community, right? So
now you're really getting me thinking about the implications of what aren't we using forums for? What can we be doing more with them?
Absolutely. I mean, it's just really important to think about your site. Not just, like, your community should not be a thing added onto your site. It needs to be fully integrated.
Yeah.
Your site is your community, and that's so we're working through all these things and trying to find solutions to those problems.
And because you're open source, obviously people can innovate with vanilla. Have you had anyone do anything cool with it yet?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's over 600 plugins written by the community so far, and they do all kinds of stuff. I mean, just the other day we were looking and somebody created it. I never would have written this, and I think if we'd been hired by a customer to do it.
This is why you did open source.
And nobody would have, I couldn't have done it, but it's this weird dice roller. So for people who play like card games or like, is it Magic? And Dungeons and Dragons, they need a dice roller, but they play it online. And so it's this thing that it has all these crazy calculations in it to make sure that the rolls are accurate. I don't know, but I was like, dice roller, that can't be hard. And then I looked at the code, and it's like page after page after page of stuff, and I'm like, I never could have done that. Apparently, dice rolling is complicated.
Dice roller geek, awesome, awesome. We love geeks.
But we've seen vanilla used for all kinds of stuff. I mean, everything from actually as a blog. Somebody took the whole form, turned it into a blog. We've seen it used as an issue tracker, project management tool, or like a Basecamp clone. You can pretty much do anything you want with it.
Wow.
But we typically now are focusing more on things like integration. So, like
Which makes so much sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's what everybody who has a site they're thinking about. My community is getting big enough. I can see in the comments they're blowing up all the time. And what typically is happening now is they'll read your blog post or your podcast or video, and then they might leave a comment. More likely, they'll take your link and paste it into Facebook and go, hey, check this out.
Right.
And then what happens? The discussion takes place on Facebook.
Exactly.
And Facebook gets all the page views, and they load all the ads, and you guys lose.
That's such a good point, because I know a lot of companies that are using, say, Facebook Connect, to have sort of that live chat going on during a show, for instance, just as an example.
Yeah.
But yeah, that doesn't get to be owned by the site.
Exactly. So I think that Facebook is awesome, and I think Twitter is awesome, and they have a place and a use, and I think we just need to learn how to take advantage of it, so that as content creators and as website owners, we don't lose out. Right? And so that's the kind of stuff we're working on.
So we're looking, they're doing what our audience wants, but it would be much nicer to be able to have that capability on our own site.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, I think vanilla is more Neapolitan now.
Well, that's the idea, right? Like, it's funny, some people come up to us and they say, vanilla, like, that's bland. Like, why would you name your company vanilla? Isn't that kind of a disservice? I'm like, well, the point is vanilla is never the favorite, but it's always the best seller because of what you can do with it.
Yeah. Start with vanilla and build on it.
Add on it, yeah.
And make Neapolitan.
There you go.
Well, thank you. Mark O'Sullivan with Vanilla. Make sure you give us your card, grab one of
Yes,
mine,
I will
and
for
let's
sure.
stay in touch because
Right on.
I think TechZulu needs a nice vanilla forum.
And a nice vanilla t-shirt. that you
And
can
a
wear
nice
on
vanilla
your-
t-shirt, exactly.
There you go. Right.
Small,
Nice to meet
extra
you.
large.
Not
Nice to
extra
meet
large.
you.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thank you.